Hello and welcome. It's Tuesday the 30th of June. We're nearly in July. And welcome to Mr. Seagull's Geography Adventures. Thank you for joining me. Do you know where we're off today? We are off halfway across the world. We're going to New Zealand. How excited are you for that? Very excited. Before we start, New Zealand, there's a couple of cool facts I want to get out there for you. Firstly, the first ever commercial bungee jump in 1988 was from New Zealand. So if you're a fan of adrenaline, New Zealand is the home of the bungee jump. Two other cool things. Do you like your woolen jumpers? I like my woolen jumpers. It's a bit warm at the moment, not particularly today. But New Zealand has the most number of sheep per person. 9 sheep per person. That is astonishing. And the final thing is, I want to dismiss the myth. I like eating kiwi fruits. I love kiwi fruits. But kiwis, a nickname for New Zealanders, is not from New Zealand. It's from China. There you go. I mean, that's just some of the interesting things we're going to get up to today. So hello to Lisa, to Sarah, to Martha, and welcome to new students Frank and Kezia. I'm very excited. Liz as well. People have got family in New Zealand. I haven't been there, but I'd love to go. Let's have a look at the schedule. Lisa's saying nice jacket. I know, so I've got a black t-shirt for later for the dance. I wanted something smart to kick off with. So let's have a look at what the what's in store for us today. So obviously, geography's today. Wednesday is my football quiz. Thursday is my history class. And Saturday is my family quiz. And later on, I'll share some snaps from my Christmas quiz that just happened a couple of days ago, which is absolutely bonkers. So what I like to do is, I always love to show the homework that we've done. So you guys produce amazing homework. Hello, Frank and Kezia. Welcome again. Welcome again. I can see you on YouTube. So, Frank and Kezia, what we normally do is we get students, people in the class, to submit homework. So you've got options, do, draw, or dance. Do could be something specific to do with that class, like maybe a national anthem, or today will be a flag-related task. Or draw is, it could be drawing a poster that represents the class. Or finally, dance. We usually do dance. If you look here, we have Lisa and Hayden submitting posters about the class. Then Oscar also with a fabulous picture. Jessie submitted a flag of South Africa. And then Karina did a dance version of, I think, the 1940s dance from a Winston Churchill class. Martha says, New Zealand has a great Prime Minister. Yes, Jacinda Ardern is a fabulous Prime Minister. Hello, Eddie and Ola from Manchester. Hello, Mrs. O in the shed. Lots of people this morning. Tuesday. I think we're all trying to get in our learning before June's over, aren't we? Very excited. Okay. So, before we head over, I always like, you know, if you're going on a journey, you want to know where you're heading off to, don't you? So, we are going to go initially to the capital city, Wellington. Then, any Lord of the Rings fans? Dun, dun. I was about to do Back to the Future. We've got someone from the Philippines joining us today. Hello, Ruth from the Philippines. We're going into I was going to say Monk and Seagull, but Mr. Seagull's geography adventures are going international. Then we're going to Lord of the Rings set, Hobbiton, and that's very cool. I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan. Then we're going to go and do a dance, the Haka. It's going to be a tough one. It's a tough one. Then school. We're going to be doing some counting 1 to 5 in Maori, their native language. Then, the flightless bird, the parrot, the Kakapo. And you're going to love the Kakapo. Although apparently, it came second in the world's ugliest animals. Poor little Kakapos. And then finally, we set homework task. We love that. Then a quiz with Bobby. So make sure you're paying attention because I ask you 3 questions. So Frank and Kezia, this is new. 3 questions about the class. And then what I normally do is thoughts of Mr. Seagull. Positive ideas to help you think in a more constructive way. So before we know, I've got our bags. We're gonna fly off a long distance. We're gonna be traveling 11,700 miles. Before we fly off, let's have a look at the flag of New Zealand. And I wanted to just help you with a bit of quiz trivia. So if you can see there are 4 stars on the flag. So these 4 stars represent the Southern Cross. So in the Southern Hemisphere, when you look up at the sky, you can see this star pattern. And people often say, Mr. Seagull, this flag looks awfully similar to Australia. And it does. But Australia has a Southern Cross, but it's got 1 more star in the middle and a Commonwealth star. So the Australian flag has 6 stars compared to the New Zealand 4 stars. So if you're ever looking at the two flags and they look similar, they do, but the New Zealand one has 4 stars as opposed to the 6 stars. And you know the flag in New Zealand, people have been actually wanting a change. And as recently as 2016, they had a vote. Have a look at this. If I can bring it up. They had a vote. They had other options of flags. And the current flag won by 57%. 57% for the current flag. But there are people pushing for new flag ideas. And one of the homework tasks today might be create a new flag for New Zealand based on what you've learned today. And you might have a Kakapo on your flag. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, we're going to go off on a journey. Are you ready for your journey to New Zealand? It's going to be a long journey. So we're going to be flying off. We're going to be flying off. And you know I like my facts and figures because I'm a maths teacher. I love my numbers. So we're going to be flying off to halfway around the world. Here we are. We are in, I'm in London, but some of you are in Philippines, but I'm in London. I'm travelling halfway across the world, past Asia, past India, past Australia, all the way to New Zealand. And New Zealand is 11,700 miles away. Pretty much as far as you can get across the world. 11,700 miles away. And do you know how long it will take us? Get your books, get your Game Boy, get some writing. It's going to take us about 26 to 30 hours. I know I'm good company, but you don't want to sit next to me for 26 to 30 hours. We're going to have 2 stopovers, a long flight. So if you look at New Zealand, it's quite a large island. It's about the size of Japan and a little bit bigger than Britain. But its population is a lot smaller. It's only 4.8 million. 4.8 million. And if you look at the UK, there are 14 of us for every one in New Zealand. So if we wanted to invade New Zealand, we could do. 14 of us. But I think their sheep would have something to say about that. A lot of sheep. We don't want to take on angry sheep. Not a good idea. So we're going to fly off there. And if you look, they've got 2 islands. They're not very imaginatively named, but one is called the North Island and the other one, the South Island. I guess they're sensible names, aren't they? Okay, are you ready? Are you ready for your flight? We're going to fly off to Wellington initially, yeah? Wellington. Are you ready? The capital. Are you ready? So it's going to be, ready? 3, 2, 1. That's amazing. Mr. Seagull has just clicked his fingers and 26 hours have gone to 30 hours. And we're here in New Zealand. How are you feeling? How are you feeling? We've travelled 11,700 miles. We've gone to New Zealand. And here we are. We are in Wellington. And let me tell you, so I'm here in Wellington. So we're on the southernmost tip of the North Island. So Martha's saying, I have to pay for a ticket and first class. Okay, I'm going to compromise. I'm going to pay for your ticket, but I'm going to get you business class flights. And I can't afford first class for everyone, Ellie. Too many people here to give you all first class. Okay, so Wellington is actually the southernmost capital city in the world. So if you look at a globe here, you've got the north here, you've got the south here. And Wellington, in terms of furthest from the equator, is the southernmost capital in the world. And I'll tell you what, if you're someone that likes to get fit, you know like Joe Wicks's classes. I love Joe Wick's classes. Wellington has some of the steepest streets in New Zealand. So, if you want to get fit, go to Wellington. You're going to be doing lots of walking there. So, let's have a look at this place. So can you see that building there? If I can point correctly, that building behind us. That is called the Beehive. The Beehive. And it's the Parliamentary Executive Building. So they've got lots of parliamentary buildings there, but this one is called the Beehive. And funnily enough, it's actually meant to be a bit of a joke. The designer, in the middle of a dinner, he got out a napkin and started drawing some ideas. And he said, haha, imagine if our executive parliament looked like a beehive. And someone else said, that's a great idea. So they've got the Beehive in Parliament. So that's a very strange looking building, but I think it also adds a bit of character to the area. But Wellington, I'm telling you, wasn't always the capital of New Zealand. It was Auckland. So another place called Auckland was the capital. And Auckland is known as Sail City. Not as in buy one, get one free. Sail as in like a sailing boat. Because it's got the most number of boats per person, per capita in the world. And in 1865, they changed the capital from Auckland to Wellington. So I'm sure Auckland people are not too happy about that over there. But Wellington, I'll tell you what, boys and girls, has an important part in world political history. And I'll tell you why. In the 1890s, women weren't allowed the vote in New Zealand. In fact, like every other country in the world. But they gathered a petition because they wanted equal rights in New Zealand. And they gathered 24,000 signatures. 24,000 signatures. And you know this, again, it wasn't like nowadays when you can do an e-petition. They had lots of paper, lots of signatures. And they gathered them all together. They glued them. They glued all the bits of paper. And they glued it and they made it into a roll. They rolled it up. And it was 270 meters long. 270 meters long. And they took this and submitted it in Wellington. And the Parliament agreed. And in 1893, New Zealand became the first self-governing country in the world to grant rights of voting to women. So New Zealand has always been a very democratic country that's looking forward in terms of rights. And in fact, again, if you look nowadays, Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister, woman, again, a terrific Prime Minister, but they've always looked forward to rights and equality. So New Zealand is a good country in terms of looking forward. Okay, so Wellington. So now we're in a real place, yeah, Maori. We're in a real place. But I tell you, where are the books? I'm trying to look around my room. I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan. Who likes Lord of the Rings? I can do a good Gollum. In fact, in my family charade on a Saturday, I have done Gollum impressions. I may do one later on. So we're going to go off to Hobbiton. Hobbiton. Here we are. Lord of the Rings. So if you've not seen or read Lord of the Rings, get involved. I think one of the best fantasy books ever written. So, when these books were written, Peter Jackson, a director, was given the contract to say, let's create a set of films all based on Lord of the Rings. And he was trying to find the place called the Shire is where the hobbits live. And he's trying to find a place where they could film it in New Zealand. So they took an aerial tour by helicopter and they found a specific place. They said, wow, this is the place that we want to make as our Shire. And they went and found a farm. And his family, I think it was called the Alexander family. They'd never heard of Lord of the Rings or Peter Jackson, but they offered some good money, I presume, and they said, fine, we'll take this site to be the place where they'd film Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings for the films, I guess. But tell you what's interesting. In New Zealand, they even created a minister for Lord of the Rings. Can you imagine that? You're turning up for, you're going to the beehive and they'll say, well, what's your job? I'm the defense minister. Of course, go in. What's your job? I'm the health minister. Off you go in. And what's your job? Yes, I'm the minister for Lord of the Rings. They had a minister for Lord of the Rings. As you would do. So, when they first built this Shire, so I know that Frank and Kezia are reading The Hobbit. When they first read the Shire, it was actually built out of polystyrene plywood because they needed to be quick and efficient in terms of getting on the set. And obviously when the set came down, they tore it down. And then they rebuilt it back in 2010 using wood, bricks and concrete. And what you can see there with the picture is a family in the actual set. So the set now has been rebuilt. Most of it is a facade, but some are places that you can actually walk inside. I'll tell you a very crazy fact. So what does this sound? Ribbit, ribbit, ribbit. That's a frog. So when they were filming Lord of the Rings on this particular set in Hobbiton, there were lots of frog sounds. And the frog sounds were so loud at one stage that Peter Jackson said, we can't deal with this. These frogs are too loud. So they relocated the frogs. Very nicely done. Very conservatively friendly. Conservation minded people. They moved the frogs away because these frogs were annoying. I guess if you're a film actor and you're Frodo, or you're Gandalf, Ian McKellen, you don't want frogs coming and stealing your line, do you? No, absolutely not. Okay, it's about time for our dance. Before we dance, again, not only did New Zealand have a minister for Lord of the Rings, in 2012 they gave a weather report in Elvish in one of the languages from Lord of the Rings. How crazy is that? Very, very cool, isn't it? Okay, a few of you at least are saying they're reading Lord of the Rings. Honestly, it's a great book. Great book. Okay. So, our dance is a little bit more unusual than normal. But I'm going to tell you a little story. So, this is potentially a myth, but a great one. So, a chief of a village had a pet whale. As one does, he had a pet whale. And a priest, he thinks, killed his pet whale. And they wanted to identify them. So he's obviously upset. You got a pet whale, someone comes and kills it. But they had no way of identifying the priest, but they knew that the priest had crooked teeth. So the teeth would be a mark-out feature. So the chief went to this village where the priest was, and they did a dance, the Haka dance, and they knew that the crooked person with teeth would smile. And when they smiled, because of the Haka dance, they identified who the priest was. So that's the myth. Because the Haka dance makes you smile, it makes you show your teeth. And they found who the priest was. So that's the myth of the Haka dance. And the Haka dance, we often associate it with the New Zealand rugby team. We'll come to that in a second. But the Haka dance can be a war dance, it can be a graduation dance, it can be funerals, it can be to motivate performers, spectators. It's used for many occasions. But of course, the war dance is the one that we most know about. And the one that we're going to try doing today is we're going to try doing the New Zealand rugby dance. So the New Zealand team, pay attention, is called the All Blacks, which is why I'm wearing a shirt. And there's a bit of mixed mythology about where the word All Blacks comes from. One potential is that there's a typo in a newspaper print. Because one position in rugby is called a back, B-A-C-K, back. And they said they were all backs. All backs, all blacks, possibly, but we don't know. But they are called the All Blacks. So the story of the Haka that they do in the rugby team is from this. So there was a person who was running away from a rival tribe. He was running away. And then he hid in a pit with lots of sweet potatoes. He hid. And while he was there, he was worried for his life. So he started saying, Kamate, kamate, kaora, kaora, kamate, kamate, kaora, kaora. And what this means is, I may die, I may die, I may live, I may live. And he did survive. And then came the words to the Haka song. Again, I may die, I may die, I may live, I may live. But he went on to survive. So we're going to see a Haka dance as performed by the New Zealand rugby team. And again, finally, why I'm wearing the black shirt today for the New Zealand rugby team. In actual fact, to show you how creative I am, I couldn't find a black shirt today. So I turned a running shirt, have a look. I turned a running shirt back to front. That's why it looks a bit strange. Okay, are you ready? Are you ready for this? Karina's not with us today, but Karina will watch later. Karina's at school. I know some of you are slowly going back to school. So let's have a look. So if you're new, Frank and Kezia, get ready. We're going to try a bit of a dance, yeah? This one, we're going to try the Haka dance. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's have a look. So it's about I may live, I may die. That's what the song's about. I think that's the England New Zealand map. This is a strange dance, isn't it? Come on. Kamate, kamate, kaora, kaora. Yes, come on. Good. Good. Imagine this. Imagine you going in the battle and you saw this. So that is. So again, it's an unusual dance. It's not the dance that we normally. Last week we did a 1940s swing style dance, but today we're seeing again a Maori tradition. It's called it's called the Haka, and this is a story of a man who was hiding from a rival tribe, and he was hiding in a sweet potato field, and he would say, Kamate, kamate, kaora, kaora, I may die, I may live. And now this is used in so many things, in war dances, in graduation ceremonies, in funerals, or the New Zealand rugby team, the All Blacks, during tournament opposition. So towards the end, we'll do this again. This is an unusual dance, isn't it? It is very frightening. You don't want to be on the wrong side of this dance. There we go. So this is a celebration of life over death. And at the end, we'll give it a proper go. And you know, like, kamate, kamate, ka ora, ka ora. We're going to learn the Haka. Okay, I'm going to put my jacket on because it's time for us to go to school. We're going to go to school. So we're going to learn some counting. We're going to learn some counting in the Maori language. Before that, a bit of the story of the history of New Zealand. So, 1,000 years ago, there were Polynesian people who lived in the Pacific Islands, and they travelled via canoe to the islands of New Zealand, North Island and South Island, mainly the North Island. And when they arrived, they followed what they thought were white clouds, long white clouds. And then because of that, they found New Zealand, and when they arrived, they called New Zealand this. Have a look at this. Ao. Aotea roa. Aotea roa. So look at this. Aotea roa. Aotea roa. And what this means is the land of the long white cloud. Because the Polynesians, in their boats, in their canoes, saw the long white clouds and they found a New Zealand there. So see, nowadays we call it New Zealand, and in Maori they call it Aotearoa. But New Zealand, the New Zealand itself, comes from Dutch explorers. So there's a man in 1642 called Abel Tasman. You know that island of Tasmania? It's actually named after him. So Abel Tasman, for New Zealand, they called it after a province in the Netherlands. So Zeeland is a province in the Netherlands, in Holland. And that's where the New Zealand comes from. But Maori people will call it Aotearoa. And we're going to do some counting in that language now. So have a look. We're going to do some counting. Okay. So how good is your Maori? So first one is tahi. Say that for me. 1. Tahi. Number 2. Rua. Say that. Rua. Number 3. Toru. Number 4. Wa. And number 5. Rima. So we'll say that 1 to 5, yeah? So it's tahi, rua, toru, wa, rima. And we'll count back down. Rima, wa, toru, rua, tahi. Okay, I'll give you a bit of maths in Maori, in this native language. So I'm going to say, what's rua plus rua? Come on. Wa. Good. It's 4. Okay. How about rima minus rua? So rima minus rua. What's that? Toru. Good. You got that right. Okay. How about let's give you one more. We'll give you one more. Oh, a bit of a complex one. Tahi plus tahi plus toru. Listen to that again. So tahi plus tahi plus toru. 1 plus 1 plus 3 is 5, which is rima. There you go. We've got your Maori language. We'll do it one more time. We'll count to 5. Tahi, rua, toru, wa, rima. There you go. So if you meet a Maori native, you can now count 1 to 5. Okay, so we're now going to have a look at the flightless parrot. So you know the kiwi, the fruit. The kiwi fruit is potentially named because it looks a bit like the kiwi bird, a flightless bird in Australia, which is what the New Zealanders had their nickname. We're called the Kiwis. But we're going to look at something called the Kakapo. The Kakapo. What a great name. The Kakapo. Have a look. Have a look at this. The Kakapo. Let's get this little bird up.
It's nocturnal, though it sometimes wakes up before sunset. It has whiskers, so it can feel its way in the dark. It's a parrot.
You see that? The Kakapo. So this creature, it means night parrot. So kaka means parrot in Maori, kaka. And po means night. So kaka means parrot and po means night. So it means night parrot. And you know, in that video, they said it's nocturnal, which means it operates by night. So it's almost like in the daytime, it's having a nap, it's sleeping, but at nighttime, it comes out. So these creatures, poor little things, they had a vote about endangered species. And this came second ugliest species. Poor little kakapos. I think they're cute. And they came second to something called the deep sea blobfish. I don't know what a deep sea blobfish is, but that must be pretty ugly if it won. Anyway, kakapo came second in that. So these creatures, they have wings, but the wings are more used for balance. And actually, they don't fly, which is why they're a flightless bird. There are many reasons about why they're potentially not flightless, or they are flightless. And one is because they had no natural predators on their island when they were there. So because of that, there was no need for them to fly. But they are quite good climbers, and they use their wings like parachutes to find the forest floor. So they'll climb up, and then they'll climb up, and then they'll use their wings almost like parachutes. But you know, if you startle them, if you're like, Kakapo! Kakapo! They startle, they freeze. It's like a weird defense mechanism, but they'll freeze. They'll stand there. So don't startle them because they're gonna get stuck. You know, they've got their business to get about. And they live for long lives. Kakapos live for 90 years. And when people first arrived and encountered the kakapos, they were treated like pets almost, like more like dogs rather than actual birds. But the sad thing is they are endangered. They are endangered. And actually, there are only about 150 left of them in the wild. And because of this, you know, every kakapo has a name. Every kakapo has a family history. Every kakapo, their life story is written down. So there's almost like a register of all the kakapos in New Zealand. So about 150 of them, and all of them have names. I know one is called Maggie, but there's loads of different names. I hope one is called Bobby. I doubt it. But these creatures, they might be the second ugliest. I don't agree. But they smell lovely. Do you know what they smell of? Winnie the Pooh would like the smell. They smell of honey. Honey. Kakapos smell of honey. So they've got this sort of sweet smell. So never, if you're sort of confused and you're like, tasty honey. No. They smell nice, but just leave them alone. Otherwise they get startled, okay? The kakapo, meaning night parrot. Okay, I think it's time for our quiz. Are you ready? So remember, I've been giving you lots of information throughout this class, and hopefully you're absorbing it, okay? Are you ready? I'll get my teacher badge. Where's my badge? Where's my badge? It's time for your quiz, and I'm getting my teacher badge on. Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay? We're all ready. Are you ready, Frank? Are you ready, Kezia? Okay, here comes up your quiz. In a second. Okay, your homework is do, draw, or dance. So do is perhaps create a new New Zealand flag. Based on any of the ideas. It could have a kakapo on it. It could have the beehive. It could have the All Blacks. It could have the Haka. Anything. Create a new flag. Secondly, you could draw 3 things you've learned today. Or thirdly, send in a dance. You know, the Haka. Or you doing the dance. I know Karina loves doing that. So you can send it to me at Bobby_Seagull on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. You can't really send it on YouTube, but you can send it along anywhere. And I'd love to share some of the homeworks that you send across. So don't forget that. Okay, homework time. Test time now. Test. Let's be listening. Okay, let's see if you've been listening. Okay, here we go. Your 3 questions coming up. So firstly, what is the name for the executive wing of the New Zealand Parliament buildings? What is the name for the executive wing of the New Zealand Parliament buildings? That's question number 1. Question number 2. What is the nickname of the New Zealand rugby team? No clues. What's the nickname of the New Zealand rugby team? And thirdly, what does the word Kakapo mean? What does the word Kakapo mean? So if you've got the answers, put them in the answer boxes. Put them in the answer boxes. Frank and Kezia, what do you reckon they are? Okay, let's have a look. Let's have a look. So the first question, the name of the executive parliament. I've got a few. I've got snazzy quizzes. I've got Lisa, Mayuri with the spot on, and Sarah, and Oscar. It's the beehive. Remember the story? It was drawn as a joke on the back of a napkin. It turned out to be one of their parliamentary buildings. Okay, the second question, what's the nickname? What's the nickname? Lisa's got it right. Oscar's got it right. Hayden's got it correct. So is Snazzy. So is Ellie. So is Eddie and Ola. They're saying it's the All Blacks. Yes, remember? The All Backs. This is the backs of the rugby team. Could have been a mix-up, but they're called the All Blacks. And then the word Kakapo. Kakapo. What have we got? We've got a few right answers here. Again, snazzy quizzes. What do you reckon it is? Frank and Kezia. Sarah. Liz has got it. So is Susan. So is Anna. So is Eddie and Ola. Yes, it means nocturnal parrot or night parrot in Maori. So Kaka means parrot and Po means night. Well done, Frank and Kezia. You got it correct as well. You've all passed the test. If you don't pass the test, I'm leaving you behind in New Zealand. You're going to be staying 11,700 miles. You're getting a return flight. But you've all been good, so you're going to get on the return flight with me, okay? We're going to go back to the UK. Go back to the UK. 26 hours later. Long flight. A long flight. Okay, we're back in London. That was a very long flight. So, what I normally do each session is I have something called Thoughts of Mr. Seagull, where I share positive motivational ideas to help you flourish. Not just children, but adults as well. So the idea that I had this week comes from a Irish poet called William Butler Yeats. And he said, education is not the filling of a bucket, but the lighting of a fire. Education is not filling a bucket, but lighting a fire. And what he means is, obviously, when we learn things in school, or with me, Mr. Seagull, I'm obviously giving you really cool facts. You're learning about the Kakapo, you're learning about the fact that there was a minister for Lord of the Rings, you learn the story about the Haka, and the crooked teeth lady or priest, we're not sure, yeah. You learn about those stories. And of course, that's knowledge that I'm transmitting. But the key thing is, it's meant to be sparking a curiosity in you. Because obviously, knowledge, I can keep pouring in facts into it. But what I really want is for you to go away thinking, oh, I'm really curious. That Bobby Seagull, he talked to me about the Haka and the Maori language. I'd love to learn more about the Maori culture. Or, Bobby told me about the beehive building. I want to find out how they came up with the idea for it beyond just a napkin. So it's about giving you the incentive to be curious. Because curiosity might have killed a cat, but we're not cats, are we? We need to be curious. So it's all about not just filling a bucket, but lighting a fire in your mind. So if we can all be creative. That's Thoughts of Mr. Seagull. Okay, so my timetable again. Before the timetable, so my Monkwood and Seagulls Genius Adventures. One very cool thing is the BBC made a signed version of it. So again, if you know anyone that likes things in sign language and British Sign Language because they're short of hearing, there's a version currently in iPlayer that's signed. So they have finished on Monday, yesterday, they finished the last second repeat of it. So it's done for now, still on iPlayer. But I wanted to show you a scene from Series 1 that I quite enjoyed. Let's have a look at a scene that I quite enjoyed. Have a look, and I'll tell you why.
Mr. Strangewood, do you think if the human species was smaller, if we can imagine we're the size of rats but had the intelligence of humans, could we have created an industrial society being that small?
Like not everything else is scaling down, just humans, right?
Yeah, just humans. We scale. Everything else stays
the same. I don't know what crop you would...
Including predators.
Yeah,
a cat stays the same size.
Yeah. You'd have a hard time developing agriculture at that scale. Could you imagine if people had to cut down every individual blade of wheat with a stalk of wheat with an axe?
Yeah.
So there we go. Again, it wasn't a conversation that I'd ever thought of before. You know, what if we were the size of rats? What would happen? But it's about curiosity. And where does that lead you to? So in that conversation with Eric Monkman, if we were smaller, would predators be larger? Would our agriculture be equivalently smaller? So it's about curiosity. Actually, Hayden says, in a school they're talking about filling buckets, but the idea of curiosity. Because curiosity is what takes you on these amazing little journeys. And I think it means to explore what is to be human, being curious. Okay. So, if you like your football, I'm doing my football quiz tomorrow night. Thursday, the time should say 10:45. It's 10:45 history. And then on Saturday, we have our family quiz. And on the most recent Saturday, we had a Christmas quiz. Can you believe that? I know. Bobby Seagull is bonkers. Admit it. In school, students like, hey, that's Mr. Seagull, the crazy but usually cool teacher. Usually, not always. When I give detention, I'm not so cool. But we had a class all about Christmas. And let's have a look if I can... wrong one. I mean, you don't want to see the bird video.
Human species
neither
was
do you want to
smaller.
see this. I'm trying to give you a version of this. Here we go. So you can see people came along wearing Christmas jumpers to my class or a quiz. So on Saturday we're having another quiz at 8 o'clock. Again, there's music, there's charades, there's pictures, there's a primary school round, and there's a sing-along every Saturday. And this Saturday, because it was 6 months before Christmas, we did Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You. So there you go. Make sure you come along on Saturday. So I think it's time for a Haka dance, isn't it? It's time for a Haka dance. So thank you so much. It's been a great class. We've travelled 11,700 miles. I've let you come back because you've been all very good. So again, do share this. Share your homework with me at Bobby_Seagull on Twitter and Instagram. I know some of you are starting to go back to school, but I'd love for you to spread the word of your school and say, I quite enjoyed Mr. Seagull's geography classes. So here we go. We're going to finish with the Haka dance. So thank you so much. I've had a fabulous time. I always do with you guys. Always do. Maybe see some of you for football. Otherwise, see you on Thursday or see you on Saturday. So thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Oscar. Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Eddie, Ola, Snazzy Quizzes. Thank you, Frank and Kezia for joining me. And we're going to finish off with the Haka dance. We're going to get into it this time. Remember, it's kamate, kamate, kaora, koora. Kamate, kamate, kaora, koora. And that means I may live, I may live, I may die, I may die. Here we go to end the class. Here we go. Kamate, kamate, kaora, kaora. Don't look at the thing, we're not intimidated by this. Maori tradition. Yes, come on. Yeah, you can feel the energy. Yes. Come on, these are straight. It's not as active as a dance we normally do. Whoa. Kamate, kamate, kaora, kaora. Whoa. Come on. I'm feeling intimidated. You're feeling intimidated? That is the Haka, and we have been from Mr. Seagull's geography lessons to New Zealand. It wasn't as energetic a dance, but you can feel the passion, you can feel the energy of it. Thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully I'll see you very soon, hopefully on Thursday, if not before. Thank you all, thank you Martha, thank you Lisa, thank you Esther, thank you Hayden, thank you all. See you all very soon. You can enjoy the Haka. I'm exhausted. And I can get my t-shirt back on normal as well. Back on normal because I'm looking a bit bonkers. Okay, see you all very soon. Lots of love from me, Mr. Seagull. Ta-ra.